All right, we're back. So, what's up, people? This is Run the Jewels, take three for Hey Lady, you call him Dr. Jones, with my special friend and co-host, Jake Haddon.
Special friend.
Special friend this time around, yeah. Now I'm going to have to come up with a better moniker for you. Uh, special friend is not going to work. Partner in crime, something like that. We'll figure out something cool. Um, I would say, uh, you're my the Vincent Vega to my to my Samuel L. or something. Actually, I don't know who I'd want to be. I don't know who you'd want to be in that equation. Would you rather be Jules or Vincent?
Can you go wrong?
You
I'd
can't.
like I'd like to think I'd like to think of myself as Jules, but I think everyone would. I think you're much more suave than I am anyway. You're more of a Vega, really.
I do like Vincent Vega.
Yeah. You kind of emulate him in everyday life.
I'm trying. Not really. Anyway, random thought number one of 1,000. So, um, all right. So today, we're going to talk about the sort of the blockbusterizing, whatever you want to say, of television, with a lot of initiatives in the movement nowadays in Hollywood. To a lot of these networks want to find these big budget, fantastical, large universe type of shows. Um, some off the top of our head are recent developments with things like Fox's Gotham, the CW's Arrow and Flash, ABC's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of them are very comic book bent, and because they have large universes where the creators of the show can easily bring to life and have a lot of material to run with. In a lot of sense, these comic books are very well suited to be on a series, a television series, where they can do a lot with multiple seasons, whereas you're constrained in a 2-hour TV or a 2-hour movie slot, rather. So, what do you think about this, Jake? I'll let you open up with your thoughts about this whole initiative to bring big budget TV shows to life.
I love it. I think it's great, especially, I mean, you look at shows that have succeeded already, like a Smallville or, some, I mean, a little cheesy, obviously, and it went for 10 seasons. So,
I
I
just
mean,
I just noticed your lower third. I'm like laughing to myself. Go
okay.
ahead.
I mean, like wildly successful. And I think one of the things, especially recently, like especially in these recent shows and in general, is they treat each episode like a comic book itself, like an issue of a comic book. So as opposed to, like you said, as opposed to trying to cram as much story and character development and all this stuff into a 2.5-hour movie, they're doing it over a 45-minute TV show, and you over 22 episodes of a season, or I mean, if you get a half season, like I think I don't know, did Flash start with a half season, or is it going to be a full one? I mean, regardless, you have a lot more room to develop characters, to thicken the plot. I mean, granted though, you look at a show like Arrow, and a lot of those in the first season were kind of filler episodes. Like it's a double-edged sword. You get a lot of room to work with to build very deep and very complex plots that you wouldn't have in a movie, but at the same time, you have to fill 22 hours of you know of show.
Right.
So I mean,
I no, that's a good point. I mean, I think they're
I think they do a good job at it, but
yeah. These a lot of the time hit shows struggle to fill content and fill time, and they start treading water. They start doing things that the audience might get bored with. One of the shows that I watch everything, you watch everything as much as we can, but and I think I'm up to date, but you might not be, is on Walking Dead. And they seem to, lately it's picked up and they have a direction. But for like it felt like for 2 seasons we were just watching them tread water and not really go many places with it, and that was frustrating for the viewers and everything. But with what they're doing with things like, these comic book themed shows, there's a ton of content. And I mean, you can introduce as many obscure bad guys as you want, and it all makes sense in the overarching universe, and it's totally okay to do.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I like it. I think there's a lot of source material that is well suited for TV. Um, I think.
Right. Yeah. I like, and like you said, the source material that they use, they one thing to keep in mind is it's a whole separate continuity than the actual source material of the comics themselves.
Mhm.
So, you look at a show like, and I hate to go back to this again because I don't love Smallville, but it's a good. I mean, if we're going to talk about this, it was one of the more successful of those types of shows. Like one of their initial initiatives was to never put him in a cape. It's like he's never wearing a cape, you
Right.
know? And it's like we're gonna give him his whole backstory that, whatever. And some people get pissed at that kind of thing, which I understand. It's like, oh, that didn't happen in the comics. Bah, that didn't happen in the comics. Bah. Like like what were you saying? Oh crap, what's his name? I can't think of the character's actual name, but Wildcat in Arrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's supposed to be a heavyweight champion, and they cast like a welterweight.
A dude who looks like me.
Yeah, dude, looks
Uh,
like you.
yeah, he's not a heavyweight champion.
No, he could get knocked over by a strong breeze, uh, but I mean, it works for the show, and they're allowed to take creative liberties that comic book writers maybe aren't able to, or wouldn't take because of the having to draw them, but like casting people to fill those roles, like you can just change things. Same with Laura Lance, or not Laura Lance, Laura Lance. Being the canary, introducing the sister first, and then giving her that whole backstory just to give her some
Right, right.
directive.
Um, so I'm trying to think about it in my head. So the networks that are using this or have one of these shows, Fox definitely with Gotham. Fox might also introduce the X-Men. That's been on the horizon too. It's been rumored that
I also heard Nightwing too.
for Fox.
I think so. Yeah, I can double check. If I click out of this, will it? Can you still
If
see me?
you just no, if you because this opens up a new browser. So if you go back to the other browser, I won't see what you're doing. I just see you
You
still.
can see me still?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So, Nightwing, okay, that's good and interesting. So they seem to like what's going on with this format, so they're using it. So Fox has those few projects. Gotham already is very entrenched. Um, and then ABC has its Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as the new um, Agent Carter series that just started in January.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the CW, of course, has the first season of The Flash that just started this year, and Arrow is now on season 3. I want to say
Correct. Correct.
season 3. So CW is ahead of it as well. CW has always been ahead of it, like you mentioned with Smallville. And then the ones that don't have one yet, CBS, but they're trying to swiftly rectify the situation because they're in the process of putting together Supergirl.
Oh, really?
I don't think we've ever talked about this, but yeah, that's a thing.
Wow.
Um, and they've actually I know they casted Jimmy Olsen, at least. Um, and
Oh.
they have a few things going on with that. So CBS is trying to catch up to the rest of the pack with this as well. NBC, I don't believe has anything going on or in the works. Um, but they might be cooking up something soon. Who knows? Or they might be NBC and just say, we're just going to keep doing what we do, which is very NBC-like. But
Right.
um,
Correction on that. Not Fox. TNT is going to be releasing a show called Titans about the Teen Titans,
interesting.
in which
Okay,
we will be.
right. Okay, so
So
TNT is
TNT's hopping on board.
TNT's hopping on board. I mean, it's smart play. It's not a bad play, and I would be, it would be, I'd be remiss to say if we didn't talk about Netflix. Netflix is about to roll out like 4 titles or something straight from
Wait,
Marvel with
type in
Daredevil.
that Daredevil preview.
Daredevil's about to come. Luke Cage is gonna happen. Jessica Jones is gonna happen.
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. So
And then,
everybody's doing this.
yeah.
Everybody's doing this thing, and I, I think it's too early to tell because a lot of these shows have just started in the fall. A few of them that we've talked about, but I think it's they're a good money grab. A lot of people are watching. It might not be that mainstream, but these are entertaining storylines, and I mean, I watch everything and anything. You watch pretty much anything and everything as well, but so maybe we're not the right people to talk to. But it seems like it's resonating with a good amount of people, um, and I feel as if these are the answers to some of the established shows that should be movies. Like you watch them and they view like movies. And I'm talking about Game of Thrones and I'm talking about The Walking Dead because
Yeah.
those are far and away the gold standard of the past, 3-5 years, and they just crush on a nightly, weekly basis, and there's no slowing down for them.
True.
Even with Walking Dead kind of being a bit slower, but people are still flocking to it in droves. What do you think about that notion of Thrones and Walking Dead kind of setting the pace, and now these could be a response to that?
I think you're absolutely right. I think the immense popularity of both Thrones and Walking Dead have definitely, I mean, definitely are definitely factors to it. I think The Dead started off so amazing because it takes your zombie movie fetish and it just is never ending, and it's just like, yes. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't watched Walking Dead in since like 4 episodes into season 4,
Okay.
uh, because of that double-edged sword I was talking about. The whole they tried to fabricate so much drama instead of sticking to what they're were good at. And I haven't read the comics, so I don't know necessarily if they're staying faithful to that, and if I wouldn't have liked those comics, but I might give them a read because I do love me some comic books. But it was just that that's my issue with Walking Dead is it was the human to human drama as opposed to the human to zombie drama, which is what you watch The Walking Dead for. You don't want to see Rick versus the mayor and like, oh, who's going to win this fight? Like, fuck that. I want to see lining up at the fence in the prison and just stabbing zombies in the face. I would watch them do that for 45 minutes and go home happy.
Hmm.
But my one issue with Thrones, and I am one of the biggest Thrones fans.
Yeah, you're carrying the torch for Thrones, I know, yeah.
Yeah. Gamer tag, Xbox One, Crows Before Hoes, check me out.
Good blood.
Is that it does drag. It drags quite a bit. And but I love how they do it and why they do it because it's just build up, build up, build up, build up, boom, big old explosion.
Sure.
But that's a complaint I've heard people say, and I think that would be the one thing that if they made Thrones into movies, that would get taken out. But at the same time, you lose all that detail that you get to, like I said, build up those characters and those plot lines and give everything ample time. I mean, that's my piece.
Yeah. So I'm with you on Walking Dead. Walking Dead. Like I should have jumped ship a long time ago, but I I was bitching the entire time I had to sit through what was going on when you hopped off. But so I'm with you there. It's finally kind of getting back to hitting its stride, but it's much more of a character piece. It's much more about what these people are going through and everything, and they're allowed to do this in a very long stretch type of situation because it's not a movie. It is a series.
Mhm.
It might feel like a movie when you're watching it. It's very the budget for it is very, very high. So it feels like that when you're watching it, and I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to it. But they're allowed to do this sort of long establishment of a character story arcs, and I like that for the most part. I don't like it when it seems like the story doesn't have a direction, which is what I felt like. But with Thrones, I think it's interesting because for Thrones, it cost them literally like $6 million to make one episode. So each episode cost 6 mil.
Is it
Uh,
really?
yeah, yeah, which is a lot for TV. In comparison, I know Breaking Bad costs 3 mil to make, and something like The Big Bang Theory costs 2 million. I read. So
Is
you
it just extra
doubling.
salaries, or is it
Oh, it's
on location?
shooting on location is a big one. Extra work, I'm sure, is has a lot to do with it. Just camera crews all over the friggin' world for the
Yeah.
location is probably the bulk of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think it's like Peter Dinklage gets paid like you know half a mil per episode or something. So that's why it's probably much more to do with the logistics of being internationally filming and things like that. So I
Yeah.
know they do a ton of work in like Iceland and different places like that. So because those are it's kind of it's pretty crazy to be spending 6 million an episode. That's I mean that's a huge show of faith that HBO has in the show creators, in the series itself, the popularity of the show.
Mm.
Um, I mean, we're getting the money's worth because the show's fantastic, but it's a bit of an unprecedented move to be spending $6 million for a slot of an hour and doing that for 12 or 13 episodes per season.
Yeah.
Um, so it's uh, it's an interesting trend that's going on. I'm happy because I've been saying, and it's not an original thought. People have been saying this for a little bit, but that the writing on TV is better than the writing in film, and that's just should be just considered a fact because what's going on with television programs for the past 10 years, maybe even 15 if you want to reach as far back as things like The Sopranos. Um, and Kurt Sutter when he did The Shield, that was great as well. And The Wire, you want to go far back as that. Those writers, have been killing it in Hollywood, and now there's been an exodus of great talent and actors leaving film and coming to the small screen, which would have been laughable um, in the old days.
Yeah.
You would not have seen somebody like Matthew McConaughey stop what he's doing in his film movie star apex, which is going on right now, to be starring in True Detective. It just wouldn't happen.
Oh, thank God he did. That was fucking amazing.
Right. Thank God he did. So the writing in TV is fantastic. It's the best it's ever been.
I'll raise a
But
question to you on that because I agree with you. Do you think that was a factor to Kevin Feige, how the fuck you say his name, um, deciding to go with someone like Joss Whedon to direct the Avengers? Because not only does he have expertise in dealing with an ensemble cast, but he's highly touted in the television writing. I mean, Firefly's got some of the best dialogue in the world, as you know, because you probably watched it over the weekend.
yes,
I mean,
I'm
anytime
going to get to it. I'm going to get to it.
I'm sure, but anytime I get a chance to talk about Joss, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, he brings that kind of TV writing style to a huge budget movie like The Avengers,
sure.
and then he brings it back full circle, and then they start the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's directly involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that was a little rocky to start, and we'll talk about that in a later pod. But I mean, he connects the two, and he does a good job at making sure that the continuity of things, because you have to worry about that more in TV than you do in movies.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously more episodes and more content, so things that happen have to affect everything forever. So I think that's definitely a reason, and I'd be interested to see if they do that with more TV writers and directors in the future.
No, I love that thought. It's yeah, it's very plausible. It's if that was if he was actively thinking about that when he picked Joss Whedon, that's a brilliant move, because with the way writing goes on with TV as opposed to film, there's a group of writers writing each episode. It's a very
Right.
when people talk about the TV writing room, it's always very collaborative and ideas are being thrown around all over the place. There are some exceptions where, let's say Nick, what's his name, of True Detective, Nick Pezzoluto, or whatever his long Italian last name is, he wrote that by himself virtually. But traditionally, a TV writer's room is full of very talented writers who they're pitching ideas and coming up with story arcs and keeping it fresh, keeping new and creative ideas going at all times. So when you're putting together a film like The Avengers, which is very much an ensemble piece, like you mentioned, you're grabbing talents from Chris Evans to Robert Downey Jr. to Hemsworth and whatnot, a lot of big character personalities, and having to manage them all in a very tight window of time with the 2-hour slot. You need somebody who comes from the school of a lot of cooperation and collaboration again.
Yeah.
From those. So picking an established TV writer like that off of Buffy and Firefly and things like that is a very smart move. So hopefully that will continue. I know D.B. Weiss, I've heard, who's one of the showrunners of Thrones, comes from a long history of that as well. Which is another, you got to manage a lot of different people and characters in that as well. So,
luckily with Thrones, most of the characters own the screen. You know what I mean? Like they do a lot like the books in that the character will get its own scene, and then they'll go to the next character and the next character. Whereas in a show like a Buffy or a Firefly, all the characters are in one space at all times, and you got to get Xander's lines, and you got to get Willow her lines, and you got to get Buffy her lines, and you got to get this. Like now, me being the epitome of a Buffy nerd, I've watched all the commentaries and listened to all the shit he has to say and everybody has to say about that. The way his writers' room would go, like he would at the beginning of the season give each of his writers an episode to work on over the season, or a couple episodes, and be like, "This is your job." And they would write. He'd look back over them, and he'd go and make a little edits here and there. And what they always say in their little commentaries are always like, "Oh yeah," like people will always be like, "Oh, I love that episode. This is my favorite line." And every single time it's like, "Oh yeah, that wasn't my line. That was Joss. He like added that in at the end." And it's just like, fuck me, but he's the best, whatever. But like, yeah, I 100% agree with you, 200% actually.
No, it was a good thought. I'm glad you mentioned that, because those people from TV are very talented. So I'm happy to see them kind of crisscross, move back and forth. Kevin Feige made that conscious decision to put him at the helm because of his TV days. Very smart. So you want to hit like kind of our just vague overview thoughts of a few of these shows that are going on right now?
Sure, yeah, we can do that, and then we'll go more in depth in the future. Yeah.
Sure. So let's talk about Gotham real quick first.
Okay.
Both of us were not happy with its start.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah. um, felt like the most cartoony, just lazy at times, bit of an introduction to a series that I've seen in a long, long time. It was like they were saying, listen, we know you're going to watch. So the beginning is going to be rough. We're going to iron it out a little bit, and you know, we're going to learn as we go. But we know we got you by the, you know, by yeah, by the you know what's early on this. So we know you're going to stick around and watch no matter what we do. So it was rough
Yeah.
going for the first at least 4 episodes, I thought.
I think they've tightened it up since then. I think I remember we talked right after we both watched the premiere, and I forgot if it was me or you who said it, but an issue I had with it was that they just I feel like they rushed the Wayne's death. They could have introduced the Waynes and then been like, you know, this was like this is who they are and this is why they're amazing. Like they are the heart of this city, and
Yeah.
make you care for them first and then kill them, as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, they die, and you knew that. And they did that with every, like, I don't want to say Easter egg or
Yeah.
like thing they could have hidden in the show. They just like
Yeah. They're force feeding us.
force
Real
feeding
quick.
us like tidbits that we don't need, like Edward Nigma being like, my name's Edward Enigma
Yeah.
Nigma. Want to hear a riddle?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you. But
Yeah. Yep. It's
that was my one issue. My second issue, which hasn't been resolved yet, but it's getting better, is just the overacting. They all, I think, like you said, very cartoony. They just overact the crap out of every scene. And I love James Gordon. I can't think of the actor's name right now.
I'm blanking too. Ben. Uh, God damn. I'm messing up too.
I love him. He's great,
Ben
but
McKenzie. Jesus. Ben
yes,
McKenzie. Yeah.
but he overacts a lot, I think, in that show.
I think he's gotten better.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten better a little bit. Donald Logue, who's the actor that plays Harvey, his partner,
Mhm,
I think is
mhm.
great. He's a
He's the
good kind
best.
of
Yeah, he's the best character in the show.
he's a good anchor to the kind of the surreal feeling of what's going on in that world. A good constant. Yeah, I think Jada Pinkett Smith kind of gets after it a little too hard sometimes too,
Yeah,
and I like her as a actress, but it's kind of like they know they're in a comic book show, so they're just like, so they're like, basically metaphorically going pow, wham, blah, like you
exactly.
see in the Adam West um, early show. So that's what it kind
Yeah,
of feels like to me, and you felt like that as well. The Easter egg thing, definitely hold on with that stuff. Like you're making it so easy for us. Like it's not even fun for people who know,
right.
you know, Batman inside and out to watch that show because they're like, I mean, anybody who like, you know, has seen Batman like 3 times in the course of their life is gonna get this show from the get. So maybe they're trying to play more to a mainstream audience than we've seen in places like The Flash or Arrow.
True.
Um, but yeah, they're very liberal with the cues for the subtle characters that are coming about. Like I know you mentioned too another time when we talked, like the first or second episode when they highlight the little girl being Poison Ivy. And right, and we don't need to know that she's Ivy. We can just see a redheaded girl playing with plants. Don't have to call her by name.
Yeah,
Don't even have to call her. I mean, Ivy's not even her real name. It's like something else. So
yeah.
could have, if you had to do something, if you couldn't help yourself, you could have just said her name without calling her Ivy. But they can't help themselves. They're just like,
No.
nobody knows what Batman is. We have to spell it out for them. Like, no.
Poison Ivy's a redhead.
Yeah. So
Catwoman. We're gonna call her Cat.
yeah, yeah, like Jesus. But that was also your point too, about the Waynes. And I remember we talked about it, and you said it would have been cooler if we saw the Waynes kind of, at the apex, and then at the end of their life, having them die at the season finale of the first
Mm-hmm.
season. We would have had a whole nother season out of this. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing's ever granted. I mean, you don't want to just decide like we're not going to kill the Waynes until the end because we know this is going to be a multiple season series. The pretty good bet that Gotham is going to be when you spend.
Yeah, I think it already got greenlit for a second season, right?
Yeah, it's greenlit. I think all of these are greenlit that we're going to talk about. Some are already established, but
I think the overacting issue, the one person I don't mind it from is the Penguin, because he's always been just a super eccentric, weird fuck, and I can't get enough of his scenes. I wish they should just call the show The Penguin Rise to Power, because I love every scene he's in. How he pits everyone against each other. He just puts that honey tone in his voice, and he just ooh, cool. So,
my favorite character on that show, from a casting standpoint, staying true to the source material, I think, is Nigma, because that dude, I think, is the Riddler, and you can see he's early Riddler-esque. Like you can see the bits of madness that are going to take over later on. So
because he never gets a chance, because they keep screwing him.
Right. So you get it. Like you get it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think you're right.
You get the Penguin too. I don't like that he's not fat. I kind of wish he was.
That's
I
true.
kind of wish he was that, but the actor that's handling that character does a very good well, from like the maniac, kind of smarmy, on the rise crime boss that he will become.
Mm-hmm.
Overacting is an issue. The basically treating the audience like they're kindergartners thing is an issue for me as well. But it's hitting its stride now. It's doing better. They just had an episode with the Graysons, which is interesting.
Ooh, nice. I gotta catch up.
Yeah, and there's something even more interesting in that episode. But
is it Marina Baccarin? Because I love her.
Is it who?
Marina Baccarin, who plays the doctor at the.
She's more involved, and she is fantastic. I'm with you on that. She also just got the lead for the new Deadpool movie. FYI.
Who's she playing? Is she playing what's her name? Domino? Or is she who? Wait, stop the presses. I'm researching.
Stop the pod. Just hold on. Everybody has to wait. Yeah. No, I'm not sure what the female lead they decided to go with in terms of the character, but I know she's it.
I love that.
So you can research that in another window right quick to whet your appetite. But if you don't have anything more on Gotham, we're going to move. So we'll spend forever. So arguably my favorite one of the ones we're going to discuss would be Arrow.
Sure.
Arrow is now in its third season. I'm very happy with the cast in general, save for maybe only a couple names, but really only a couple names. And I like the feel of that show. It's pretty good with being drenched in realism. It's kind of darker, a little grittier. I think the format that they run with the present day and the flashback story is interesting, and I think they run that and balance that in a correct manner. It doesn't ever feel like, oh, why are we still doing like these flashbacks, or why are we still doing, Oliver's backstory? Because that story is still ongoing, and there's 5 years of his experiences that are still not just like interesting, because interesting would be one thing. If your flashback stories are interesting, they might not be necessary, but they are proving to still be necessary to explain like some of the stuff that's going on in the present storyline.
Right.
So they're balancing that well, which I like. Um, I like Stephen Amell, the actor, as Oliver Queen, just in general. Um, I think he's a very talented guy, and the show's doing well because of it. I like the team they've built around him, the personalities with Diggle and Felicity Smoke and Roy, and even the Canary character. Um, I'm not that into Laurel Lance lately, but when I was a huge Laurel Lance fan before, but
Oh, I know, me too. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with
yeah,
you. I don't know what happened. I think it's, drug abuse. It'll happen.
yeah, Joey Booth. I think my biggest problem with it is um, we we've been afforded the ability to believe like these characters earning their abilities, like watching Oliver go through all his shit to become the Arrow. It makes perfect sense. Like you don't look at that like, no, that guy wouldn't know how to do that. From those experiences, it makes sense. Even Roy, for the most part. Go ahead.
No, 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 right. I was going to say, careful how much you say about that. I don't want to
Right,
spoil anything for anyone.
right. But the person in question that we're referring to, I don't know if she's earned it.
Hasn't. It shows, which is good.
Right. Which it's also part of her storyline that she
Sure.
really hasn't earned it.
Sure.
But who knows? Could get better. It hopefully will. Um, what are you got general thoughts about Arrow?
I love it.
Um,
I think I remember when I first watched it, I watched the first season, I think, in 2 days. Um, and I couldn't stop thinking this is Christopher Nolan's Batman with the Green Arrow. It was just a realistic retelling of it. And like we've said earlier, like you take liberties with a TV show where you get to introduce new characters. And I think Diggle, I wasn't crazy about at first, and then fell in love with him. Felicity Smoke, the second she was on the screen, I was like, she is just great, just the best.
she's fire. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, she's so attractive.
Yeah, she's not hard to look at.
And she does that like quirky, like I'm so much smarter than everyone else in the room, and I'm prettier than everyone else I've ever met, and I don't really know how to be, but I'm gonna be quirky and sexy and funny and cute and like,
She's very witty. She's very quick. She's
yeah,
just
yeah.
skilled.
I actually met her, and she is a fucking angel at her Comic
That's
Con.
good.
I was one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah. I remember you told me that, and I thought you were lying. Like I went through maybe I don't know a couple hours of thinking he's just decided he's gonna torture me today. Like this is his thing. He's just gonna be an absolute dick to me, and decide that he's gonna make up this fantastical story that he was on a boat at Comic Con in San Diego, and basically just like living the life I've always wanted, and he's just gonna shotgun it to the back of my skull. But you were telling the truth, and I'm glad you had the experience.
I
So.
wasn't lying. It was great. She was one of the favorite people I met. But digression.
Mm.
Yeah, love, and I love that even with characters like Deathstroke, they never really got too far fetched with superpowers
Mm.
or metahumans, which they're covering in the Flash. I mean, the villain in season 3 kind of toeing that line, but I don't mind it because they really are trying to keep it grounded in reality, which I think
Right.
a character like the Green Arrow needs to be. Because at the end of the day, he's an archer. You know,
Right.
you're not going to send Hawkeye to fight Loki. You
No.
know, he's going to deal with things he can deal with. And back to your point, I love the flashbacks. I love the flashbacks in season 1 and 2, and I was concerned about once they wrapped up the Deathstroke, arc in season 2, what was going to happen with those flashbacks? Were they just going to stop altogether? Because I mean, some of those scenes were my favorite scenes of the show,
Right.
and I like what they've done in season 3. I think it's great.
Also, the show's given birth to the one of the newest film projects from DC that could be one of the most successful and most popular, which is the Suicide Squad.
Yes, yes.
So
Love that cameo in, I forgot which episode. I think it's the episode. I think there might be an episode called Suicide, or
something like that. Yeah,
where they
yeah,
introduce the Suicide Squad, and Amanda Waller's walking them through the hallway, and you hear Tara Strong like, you need therapy, like in that
yeah,
Harley Quinn voice. Oh
yeah.
my God, I read they couldn't actually show her because of some conflicting rights or something, but
Sure.
to hear it was, oh man, that's the kind of Easter egg you need.
There you go. Yeah, that's how you
It
do
was
that.
perfect.
Right. So DC is doing well with their TV.
DC wins
Um,
the TV, yeah. Well,
they were
the CW kind of wins with superhero shows, which
the CW wins because it is DC because it's Warner Brothers, which is
True.
DC. So it ipso facto, yeah, Warner Brothers wins at TV for DC, which is good. So let's go to the other CW project, Flash,
Sure.
which is in its first season. So you can go first and opine on what you think of the Flash so far.
Surely. I love the fact that it doesn't ever really take itself too seriously. And when it does, it follows it up quickly with a good, it's very light. It's
Mhm.
very much the other side of the Arrow's coin.
Right.
It's great. It's fast paced. It's the Flash. He's a smart ass. He's the fastest man alive. He's not used to getting touched, so he's used to being able to just talk shit to most people. I think one thing that I've heard about the Flash and Arrow, which I never thought of until I heard this argument, was people are tired of beautiful superheroes. Like they don't
Okay.
need everyone in the cast to be gorgeous.
Okay.
I I don't see an issue with that at all. But um, I think the Flash does that well. I love how they bring the police partner
So who,
from
Joe West?
from Law and Order into. I just love his character, how the father figure.
He's my favorite person on that show.
I I mm,
I'm not
I
saying
don't
you have to agree. I'm just
I
saying
don't
he's
want to
mine.
say that he's close, but I don't know if I want to say that. But um, I do
Kenneth
love.
Patton though might be his daughter, Iris West, also might be my favorite, but that's for purely shallow reasons. But continue.
That's so funny. No, I like the fact that they reference that they're a spinoff occasionally, and they're like there was the crossover episodes where you know Felicity Smoke was in town and she was saying like it took us a whole year and a half to build our team and you guys did it in 2 days like
Hmm.
eh. And it's just like yes writers yes. And I always look for I can't think of his name, the lab assistant,
Cisco.
Disco. I can't wait to see what shirt he's wearing every episode. He always has the best shirts on. The one where it's like the Milky Way with the "You Are Here" like
Mm.
Google pin drop is. I want to buy that shirt.
He's taking his costume wardrobe from your closet. That's what I think when I watch that kid.
Basically,
So I'm
basically.
not surprised that you're a fan of his choices there for t-shirts.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean that's and I like that they are grounded in the fantastical, where the Arrow's grounded in reality. I really don't have a bad thing to say about the Flash. So
I don't either. I
if you,
don't either.
I'm gonna hand it off to you, and you can say more good things or bad things.
No, I'm gonna say more good things. I do really like that the Flash was born from Arrow, and they're not gonna ignore it. I like that a lot. I don't want it to do this thing where, oh, Barry Allen was in one of the previous episodes of Arrow, and then just be like, but we're never gonna exist again. This is just gonna be, Starling City and Central City, and they're never gonna intersect anymore. I think it's smart of the writers to be like, listen, the people who are watching our show are pretty die-hard, and they've watched all of it, and they've pretty much watched all of Arrow too, for the most part. So they are not dumb. They see this, where one was born from the other, and now they're having a very synchronized existence going forward. So I think it's smart to have Felicity show up for an episode, and the next episode is like a full crossover where you see Flash and Arrow doing things together. I think that's very smart. I'm just trying to hit on some of the things you were saying that were making the wheels turn in my head as well. Um, I'm very happy with how light it feels, like you said. Very upbeat, very. It's not very heavy lifting to watch it. That's not an insult. I'm just saying I don't. There's not a lot of dark tones in it. There are some. You have to have some, but it feels very, positive. You're having a good time when you're watching it, definitely. And whether it's some of the humor they use or Barry Allen's storyline, like what he's going through, could all be factors. But I like it. I like it a lot. I like what they're doing. I think we talk about Arrow maybe after the fact more than any of these shows. Like they've got this overarching storyline that is yet to be revealed. Who's done what and who is who. We're constantly talking about that. I think more than anything else of the shows we're mentioning. But
I can't wait to talk about that later.
So I should have written down notes when you were talking, but I didn't want to be rude.
No, that's fine.
Because you said a few good things that I wanted to speak to, but those are definitely a few. I like. Let me think here. I do like how they're just kind of committing to the metahuman thing, not just being like, well, if our main character, the hero, runs at super speed, that basically means everything's on the table. So everything's on the table, and they're just, they're committing to that, whether it's time travel to weather manipulation to, a big monkey.
Living in the sewer.
I'm glad they're just acknowledging it and just going right after it. It's smart. It's all about understanding your identity and running with it, and I think that's what the CW has done really well. They know who they are, and they're capitalizing off of that. So it's smart. I think the Flash is doing well and will continue to do well. I think there's a lot of places where they could go as well, which is great. They're setting themselves up in a lot of different areas for little seeds to blossom later on, which is the right thing. That's how you run a show. So, but what do I know? But it seems like it's the right thing to do. So, yeah, I like Arrow a lot.
Flash.
I mean Flash. Yeah, both.
Oh,
But
yeah,
Flash.
too, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm speaking to Flash. But Flash is yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any in particular I wanted to single out. I like Barry Allen. I like Grant Gustin. I believe that's his name, the actor who plays him.
Gustafson? Whatever.
Gustin, I think. I like his age. I like that he's like a younger. He's like 25 type of type of character and hero. I like that he's kind of nerdy, kind of like I'm into science and physics and everything, and I wish he was a little bit more of a smartass, but maybe they'll develop that part.
Yeah, that's true. He isn't quite. I mean, maybe once he gets into his element more than he is, he'll develop that a little bit. Like that, kind of like that Spider-Man, kind of just like just talking shit. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna make fun of you to your face because I think faster than you and I'm quicker than you, and like my wit is quicker than you, and just I don't know.
Yeah.
What was his name? Fuck. Played Lex Luthor on Smallville. Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
Played voiced the Flash on the Justice League cartoon in the 2000s. The best. Just his. So good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I think there was a time when there were rumors before The Flash became a TV show when we were talking about who would be, the internet was abuzz of who would play who in a Justice League feature film, and a name that was being floated around a lot was Chris Pine, and I like that a lot.
Yes.
now he's a little too old, maybe. But he's like, that dude's a wise ass. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he knows he's like, the coolest dude in the room, and he's gonna let you know too, which is something I like.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see that develop a little bit, but it might not. And if it doesn't develop, it doesn't, and it's not a huge problem. But that's one tiny little thing I would say about his character and the way that's going. But all positive things. I'm into the show. It's
Yeah. And I
good.
think to touch on two of the things you said real quick before we move on, um, the the lack of dark undertones, but that there are a few. I think the ones that are there are very deeply rooted in just the uncertainty of what's going on, because you know what's going on, but you just don't know who's doing it, and that kind of who done it of like
Hmm.
who is this person?
Yeah, it's essentially watching a murder mystery go on.
Yeah, except without the murder, but like with the threat of murder.
Well, with the murder, because
Oh yeah, with the murder too.
yeah.
I was thinking of Iris, like with the picture on the wall. But yeah,
No,
murder.
I'm talking about Barry's mother. Like we're trying to figure out who did that. So
Well, we know who did that, but we don't know who.
how
Okay,
it's gonna play out.
yeah. We know like who did it, who physically did it, but we don't know who that character is yet, who did it
Right.
or who didn't do it. I can't wait to talk about this. So let's move on.
So let's move on. Okay. Um, okay. So let's move on to Marvel's Agents of Shield, which is coming back in a couple weeks.
Can't wait.
Um,
Not that I love Agent
it's
Carter, but looking forward to Shield coming back.
yeah. Um, I like this show from the jump. It got a lot of heat. It took a lot of flack in the beginning, but I never really got why. I was always into the show. I really, really liked, oh God, I'm not gonna remember his name now, but Phil Coulson, the actor who plays Phil
Greg
Coulson and
Clark Gregg.
Clark Gregg, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I, al- I
He's
always really
great.
liked Coulson. I thought he was kind of like an unsung hero of the Avengers movies and the solo films leading up to the big one. And I'm glad now we get to see him regularly on something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sidebar.
so
Clark Gregg. Much Ado About Nothing. Check it out.
mm, yeah, I think I thought I heard that too. Okay, so he is in that.
Yeah.
Um, so what are we in our second season? We're going through the second season here.
Yeah.
The mid-season finale was probably one of the better ones if you had to stack it up against the rest of what was going on in TV. Um, and now it's just a whole new show, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say? Like we're pretty much going in a new direction that is going to build towards Marvel's master plan in this chaotic, not chaotic, but pretty well woven spider web of their phases 1 through 3. And I like that. Uh, I really like that what goes on in the the cinematic universe echoes and ripples um, appropriately um, through Shield, because like what happened in the Winter Soldier manifests in the storyline of Shield, and then becomes the main focus pretty much going forward. So I like that Shield kind of helps feed the cinematic universe as well as kind of is your weekly update too a little bit of what's going on. I don't know how you feel, but I think you're a fan. I know you're a fan, but
Oh yeah, I'm taking notes on what you're saying.
mm. um, so I like that. I like all. the show for all those reasons. I am really, really, really interested to see where they're going to go now because the storyline that they're about to embark on leads to a film way down the road that I don't know enough about, in all honesty. So I'm very interested to see it take place. Um, and Yeah, it feels very Marvel. That show feels very, very Marvel. It feels like there's this upbeat kind of witty, sarcastic humor um, laced in with you know story arcs that are going to and are now becoming key staples of the rest of the phase. I guess we're in phase two right now, so we're about to finish phase two with
Yeah, well,
Avengers two.
yeah.
Yeah.
Phase three is gonna
Um.
be nuts.
Yeah, it is. But what about you? What do you got in Shield?
Well, I'm like you. I loved it from the get-go. Well, okay, I liked it from the get-go. I loved the idea of getting Joss back on TV, and I mean, took Joss Whedon and Marvel, two of my favorite things, and put them together. There's, I was in heaven. I could easily see why people didn't love it from the beginning,
Yeah.
but I hung in with it because I knew that he wouldn't let it completely go off the rails. Um, One thing I think people didn't expect was it to be very kind of ground level, um, actual like agents of Shield, as opposed to superheroes making cameos every week and dealing with global uh, you know crises on a weekly basis, as opposed to very isolated things to start with and then working their way up. Um, Another reason I think people didn't love it to begin with uh, is, like you said, the cinematic universe rippled into it and echoed the events of the movies, echoed in the episodes of the show. And the first movie to come out during the show's run, was Thor: The Dark World,
Mm.
which isn't. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you and everyone, but I don't think Thor is people's favorite. I think his
No.
standalone movies are much more of a niche market. Um, I personally love them because I love anything with any kind of mythology. I will fucking bite into that apple like a
Yeah.
Snow White. Um, but I think that like the Berserker staff and having Sif come in, I thought that was sick. Having like characters from the movies come in and introducing, I think it's the Enchantress's sister,
Yeah.
Lorelai.
Yes.
I thought that was awesome, and I think people just expected if it was going to be something like that, then it was going to be Thor in it. But um,
I don't want Thor in it though. Do you?
me neither. No, 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 no. Thor's the
No.
fucking prince of Asgard. He's not coming down to Earth just for an episode of fucking Shield to see Clark. I
Good
mean,
point.
I would, but he's not gonna. He's got shit to do. Um, but I think that was why people, were originally a little opposed to it. A lot of people I heard were pissed about um, J. August Richards, who plays Deathlock. They were pissed he ended up being Deathlock, which I don't know why, because he was sick. But I absolutely loved how the Winter Soldier events played out in the season, like the back half of the first season. And like you said, the Winter Soldier might be my favorite Marvel movie so far. And those episodes following that were just brilliant. And the whole second season so far, I've just been hooked. And like, I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. So the movie that it's building up to
Mm.
is going to be sick. Sky is.
A
Easily.
lot more interesting all of a sudden.
Yeah, and she was super interesting to begin with, so it's like, fuck, dude.
Right. Yeah. I was into it.
Yeah, definitely. Go.
Yeah. It's about being self-aware, and like we mentioned with Arrow and Flash, you gotta know yourself. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know the show that you're making, and you know, Shield has become pretty self-aware of the environment it lives in. It lives in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you can't have what went on in, in Winter Soldier not affect, Coulson and the team because what went on in Winter Soldier directly affects the organization that the show is named after. So
Right.
we have to speak to it. We can't just act like, oh no, they're doing their thing and we're doing ours. That would be responsible TV show making. So
I
um,
know we decide. I know. Okay. I know we decided not to go into very specific episodes of things, but can I
yeah, we can
reference?
do a little bit.
Okay. There's because I did. I watched. I watched these all live as they came out, and like I saw the Winter Soldier the day it came out, and I saw it twice more in theaters after that because I couldn't believe how amazing it was. Um, but the episode that aired like 2 days before it came out, there's a scene where Sitwell, Agent Sitwell, is like in a room full of people, and they're
Hmm.
like, "You're needed on the Nemerian Star," and he's like, "Oh, gotta go catch a boat," and then he leaves, and then in the Winter Soldier, he's on the boat, and then the
Yeah.
next episode, he's like, the fucking, oh my,
Forgot about that. Yeah, you're very right though.
it's so they timed that shit up perfectly. Dude, my
Yeah.
hat, were I wearing one, would be off to you, Marvel.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I love that kind of shit, and I love that they're doing that more
Yeah.
and more.
Ward.
Ward, easily my favorite character in the show, was at the beginning, just got even better in the second half and the second
Yeah.
season. Mockingbird, her her character development with the ex-husband has been pretty interesting.
I like the ex-husband too.
Me too.
What the fuck's his name?
I
I
couldn't even
like him.
remember. Yes.
He's great. Mockingbird is going to stick around for the long haul too. I read. She's going to be more involved, I believe, in the coming storyline. Ward
I
is
like to see.
definitely.
Sorry.
What's
Sorry.
that?
I was going to say I'd like to
Oh,
see her in a movie because she's always, I mean, not been like a top cast character, but she's always in the background in the Avengers stories. Like she's one of Nick Fury's go-to agents, top
hmm.
agents. When they found out in the Secret Invasion that she was a Skrull and she was the Queen of the Skrulls, shit went down.
Yeah.
Or she wasn't the Queen,
So yeah.
whatever.
Um,
Sorry.
no, you're good. Yeah, I'm happy with Shield. It now is going in a brand new direction, which is cool because now we're on the flip side, right? We're on the flip side of the coin where Shield was reacting to the films, but now the films will kind of have to react to Shield when we're talking about the movie that's going to come in a few years.
I didn't
Um,
even think of that. That's a great point.
yeah, so Shield takes up this is a lot of responsibility now for what the showrunners are doing with Shield because it's setting the table for a major big budget film that's going to come in the next 2 or 4 years. I can't remember which. Four it might be four.
18, right? 2018?
Is it 18 or 19? Ooh,
Oh, I
I
don't
don't know.
remember.
Yeah, everything just got pushed too because they introduced uh, the Spider-Man standalone that's going to happen. So
There's going to be an MCU standalone?
yeah,
Where have I been? I thought he was just going to be in Civil War. Is that going to be before Civil War or after Civil War?
after like I think it's slated in the 2017 July,
Okay, so it's going to be
and
between Civil War and Black Panther? Is that the first one coming out after that? Or is
Yeah,
Doctor Strange coming out first?
Doctor. It might be Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Black Panther. I know Black Panther got pushed to the next slot down, and then everybody after Black Panther got bumped,
Mm-hmm.
except for the part 1 and 2 of Avengers 3. Those are staying where they're at, but
Okay.
that's the deal. So it'll be interesting to watch Shield to the table for um, Phase 3, pretty much, or a big chunk of it, or a piece of it. So
So we know
um,
Shield's going to be around for another 3 seasons.
I would guess. I mean, you got that Disney money, baby. You can do whatever you want on ABC when Disney runs your operation. Yeah, throwing hundreds. So Shield's good. We're into Shield. Um, I'm I'm happy that they're it feels like you're watching a movie, but you get it in bits of installments of 45-minute apps. So it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And one thing too that I love about it is they do a lot of like I don't know what to call it, kind of dog chasing a car, like Sky looking for her father in season one, Ward looking for his brother, um, and Coulson looking for
what happened in Tahiti?
in Tahiti, and then the sign like the images whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but what I hate when people do is when they set that shit up and then the payoff is crap. But I've been really pleased with the payoffs so far in this.
Yeah.
Like it's been tight.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Watching them follow them to the end result of the scratch marks of the
Mhm.
patterns
Mhm.
was one of the best parts of the fall on
Right.
TV for me. So, um, all right. So, any final thoughts on any of these or anything we didn't talk about before we wrap?
Mm, I mean, I'm sure the second we stop, I'll think of 100 other things to say, but
Of course, like it always goes.
right.
But,
Uh,
you like this? You like this trend of let's take our big budget properties and put them on the small screen? You want to
hell
see more of
yes.
this? Or?
Hell yes. I would. Yes. Yes, I would. I would like to see more of the Netflix and or Hulu and or
Amazon
HBO,
Prime.
Amazon Prime taking over, and because I mean I'm glad they're doing that with the Defenders, with the Daredevil, the street level heroes,
Hmm.
um, because those are going to be because those guys are just bash your face in, like do the right thing or I'm going to beat the shit out of you kind of heroes. Like Luke Cage doesn't take shit. I can't wait to see him just beat the crap out of a bunch of drug dealers in Harlem, and it's going to be great. Um,
I'll throw this to you actually. Actually, no, I'll let you. You got more, so finish
no,
the
no, no,
review.
no, no,
Sorry.
no.
Um,
Always gonna have
so who
more.
do we think is? I don't know if this is fair or if this needs to be done at all, but who do you think is doing better at TV right now, Marvel or DC? So if we're talking Marvel, we're
Are we talking
talking,
just network TV? We can't really say how the Netflix shows are because we haven't seen them yet. I mean, I
true,
assume they're going to be good.
true. So we're
Um,
talking ABC and Netflix for Marvel, and then we're talking Fox and CW for, and then potentially CBS with Supergirl with DC. But
I would have to say sheer numbers and number of successes so far. I'd say DC wins the TV, but Gotham definitely lowers the class average. Um,
it does, doesn't it? They still got work to do.
they still got work to do, dude. Um,
Yeah.
but it's hard to say Marvel doesn't because Marvel's Agents of Shield is part of something bigger,
Hmm.
and they're
Where this is
handcuffed
where
a
these
lot.
things, yeah, where with DC, this is where they're going. They're
This
not.
is yeah,
This
this
is
is their own universe, and there's no
yeah,
other thing that they're. Granted, they've got it now. It spans two shows, but um, I like that. I love how they do the Flash and Arrow. I think Agents of Shield might have been a better show. No, I can't even say it would have been better if it was its own universe, but I, the fact that it's part of something bigger definitely adds to its relevance or success. I don't know.
yeah,
What do you
yeah.
think?
No,
But I'm going to say DC wins a TV.
yeah. I'm gonna say in terms of quality, DC wins so far. Quantity, obviously, Marvel can just flood the market with all their properties. They can turn out a ton of things.
Yeah.
Um, I think I was bummed out when the actress who is Mockingbird, Adrian Palicki, something like that. She was gonna be she was gonna be Wonder Woman on TV, and that didn't end up happening. Did you not know this?
I did not know this.
No, it was a thing. And then it fell through, like it did get greenlit or something. I think it was going to be NBC too, actually.
Typical.
Yeah, now that I think about it, they're too busy playing SNL 47 or something. Um,
That was
but
great though.
it's would have been nice to see that because I think Wonder Woman, the knock against it is, oh, it's female driven, like it's not going to make money at the box office, blah blah blah. There are concerns about that. I think people still would have watched it no
The
matter what, but
concern, the concern with
um,
the concern with the Wonder Woman show as opposed to a movie is who do you have her fight? I mean, you could have her on Themyscira fighting against gods and shit, but that would cost a fortune. You can't just have her
yeah,
like just blocking bullets and fighting against thugs. Like that would be silly. Like who's
right.
Wonder Woman's villains? Who are they? It's you got
You'd have to tell me. I don't even.
I know you've got like the tiger chick. You've got oh, I'm trying to think of her name. Is it Big Bertha or Big Betty? I don't know.
Good God,
I
I
don't
guess we
follow.
can't do a show
I, I don't
around her.
follow. I don't follow Wonder Woman all that as closely as I should because I do like her in the Justice League. But um, when we get back into this, I will have done some research and I'll let you know who Wonder Woman's villains are.
No worries. It's not a big issue for now, but yeah, no, I think DC's winning. I like what they're doing. Um, like I said, they're very self-aware with their two CW properties, definitely. I think this is much more of uh, indictment on what networks are doing these shows. Like CW knows what it's doing, and
Hmm.
they've shown that. Fox, I don't know if it really knows exactly what it's doing with Gotham. I think it's getting better. It's learning as it goes, um, which kind of makes me nervous about the X-Men being brought to Fox. But if there's any universe that should be put on TV, it's X-Men. They have
True. True.
so many characters. They can do a ton of different stuff. They can do a ton of stuff with like the Brotherhood, the movie
Hmm.
Brotherhood. Anything. There's storylines all over the place that they can play around with, and that's well suited for television.
Did we talk about this on or off pod about the potential doing a couple seasons and then whenever the last season comes along, do the House of M story?
We talked about it off pod.
Yeah, and then ending all the mutants. That'd be fucking tight. But the beauty of that is, I mean, we've talked about how Marvel is trying to get the X-Men back from Fox and how there's no toys.
Right.
If the X-Men show fails and then the movie fails, that would be kind of ideal for them to get it back from Fox.
Yeah.
Not that I want to see a show fail about the X-Men because I would like to see it
Right.
succeed.
We just like X-Men in the hands of Kevin Feige more than in the hands of 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we'll see. Like, they can't even say mutant in the MCU. They're not even allowed to. it's like copyright infringement. That's why in that like cutaway post-credit scene when you see the twins, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, the guy looks at them and calls them a miracle instead of mutants. They're mutants. And he has to say they're a miracle to like get around it. So weird, silly, inner politics of Hollywood, but I like that shit, so it's interesting. But all right, so blockbusterization, making up words again, like I always do, of TV. It's interesting. It'll be great to watch going forward because they're just going to roll them out now, and it's really crazy the staying power of this comic book stuff. Like we started with what, Blade, and we're still going, and now we're going at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I wonder what the next great big fad will be. I don't know if there will be anything that could top that, but we'll see. But now TV's getting involved, and it's a good place, a good arena for them to come and dominate. All right, Jake.
Gods of the arena.
Yeah.
Just finished Spartacus last night, by the way.
You did. Good. But you've already seen it, obviously. But
I never finished it, though.
I
never saw the last 5 episodes.
I know we could have talked about that a little bit. That kind of feels like movie quality type of thing. Like that could have been
like a 300 series, kind of.
Yeah. More big budget.
Yeah, it was garbage after the original actor died, though.
Oh, that dude was my favorite.
Yeah.
He was like pushing for like one of my favorite actors type of like I was buying stock on that guy for real.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately he passed, but he was very talented. Andy, doing a lot. I'm betting 1,000 for getting half of people's names tonight. Anyway, so
no, I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. Anyway, so this has been, oh boy, we've been at this for a little while.
But I think we covered some good stuff today.
Yeah, we weren't frenetic or all over the place, so but we'll still be cutting it down little by little. But if all right, Jake, just let's finish quick on this. If you had to pick somebody who watches this, which will be never, but if somebody who watches this and hasn't seen any of these, and they only have time for one, what should they go look? What should they go see?
One show?
Yeah, one of Gotham, Arrow, Shield, or Flash. Which one would you pick? Gun to your head.
Fuck. I'm gonna say watch Arrow, because once you watch Arrow, you're gonna watch the Flash.
Oh, so you're strategically planting seeds for, okay, that's not a bad approach.
Watch Arrow, because plus Arrow, the first season of Arrow is sick, and so the second season is just as good, but the first season of Arrow was like crack for me. And once you watch it, you will watch the Flash.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good play. I like that. Solid move. Tight move. Yeah, I'm gonna say Arrow too. Just because I think it could also appeal to more people than some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of, I don't know why I just thought Long Island in my head, but like a lot of like college girls who wouldn't strike you as liking dark shit, but who are like obsessed with like Criminal Minds and SVU, and like I feel like Arrow has the perfect amount of darkness that would appeal.
We're gonna do a whole nother pod on that. I don't know why that is a thing. Why do girls like that shit? Like SVU, I think I mentioned this on another pod of ours.
Yeah, we've talked about this. But before we completely go off the rails, we had it in a nice place where we end it.
We're ending it.
End it.
We are ending it on our pick is Arrow.
Our pick is Arrow. Definitely watch Arrow. Definitely do.
Arrow is worth a look.
I spent about a year trying to convince my friends from home to watch Arrow, and they all gave me the same reaction, like, fuck you, Jake, I'm not watching Arrow. One of them finally did.
CW.
Exactly. I don't want to watch beautiful superheroes. One of them finally did, and he was like, this Arrow shit's actually kind of good. So,
right. Right.
control
I
group.
mean, the stigma of it being the CW is kind of weird because it's like I used to watch the CW with like my girlfriend after we get home from high school because she made me type of shit. Like,
Right.
but now it's that wasn't me personally. I used to go home with my girlfriend and be forced to watch the OC. And oh wait, well, One Tree Hill was on the CW, so never mind.
By which you mean you used to go home and force your girlfriend to watch the OC in One Tree Hill?
I made her watch Brooke Davis with me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm revealing I know way too much about One Tree Hill. All right. Anyway, we're gonna stop before I talk myself into a corner. Okay, cool. So this has been, as usual, Run the Jewels with Hey Lady, you call him Dr. Jones, with my special friend Jake Haddon. And we'll be back soon. I'm gonna be back tomorrow night with, I believe tomorrow night with my sister Emily, who I do my other series of shows with potentially two close friends of mine, talking about the Red Sox. So some stuff is heated up with the Sox. Admittedly, I'm not a
Kung
huge
Fu Panda. Sorry.
yeah, Fat Pablo in the building. Admittedly, I don't know it. I'm not as hardcore Sox as I am maybe Seltzer or Pats, but it'll be a good show. So, thank you, Jake, for sticking out, of course, and anybody who watched. I know this gets tough, but if you like movies, if you like TV, if you like the way Jake looks, you should be watching. We appreciate it. Jules, and Ms. Vega. So, this has been Run the Jewels. Oh, weird. I should have been Jules. Whatever. This has been Hey Lady, you call him Dr. Jones, coming at you live from Run the Jewels headquarters, my beautiful apartment, and Jake's beautiful apartment. So,
Ta-da.
until next time, people. Thanks.